welcome to Saving People Queering Things, the supernatural podcast where Bobby and Rufus prove it's really awkward working with your ex.
This is so awkward. They make it work, but it's awkward.
Yeah, the tensions are,
it's
can feel
palpable. You can feel it.
All right, today we are pulling up to season 6, episode 16, and then there were none. I'm your host, Sam. My pronouns are she, they.
I'm August, pronouns they, them.
I'm Noah, pronouns he, him.
And the question of the day I have for my co-host is, would you ever work with your ex?
Okay.
If you had to?
Now see.
If you were given a choice?
Work as in hunt with, or work as in like work a regular job? Because regular job, I can say no, not a chance.
Right, if the world is at stake here.
The world's at stake, then I guess for a while, yeah.
Okay, maybe a better question is, how would you work with if you had to work with your ex? How?
How
would
would
you
do better than they would? Just saying.
Yeah, I think show them up. I think show them up with the correct answer here.
Yeah.
Like absolutely prove that you're better than them, and also prove that they missed out, but mostly prove you're better than them.
Facts. Probably wouldn't be that hard.
I would like to think that I would handle things more maturely than they did.
I mean, you did in a relationship, so
yeah. You never know till you're actually there.
Yeah. It's a whole different perspective once you're in it.
Yeah.
As is very clear in this episode.
Oh, yes. There's definitely some hidden feelings and resentments that are held in this episode, and I cannot wait to talk about them more.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, now that you've met your hosts for today, it's time to catch you up. If you haven't watched Supernatural recently, here is what you've missed on the road so far. First up, Noah is going to recap the show up until this point.
Okay.
30 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so there's two brothers, and they're hunting things, and they've been dying a few times at this point. At this point, they've both been to hell and to heaven. They started the apocalypse. They put Lucifer and Michael back in a hell pit. They forgot their other brother there. Whoops. Now they're having to worry about their resurrected grandpa collecting alpha monsters, but they're fresh off of doing something most of us would love to do, visiting the Supernatural TV show set. Whoa, crazy.
With 5 seconds to spare, too.
Good job.
It's good.
It's a damn good recap.
Very broad
that was
strokes.
very good. Well, now, August, you are going to recap the episode.
Not done one of these in a while. I have not done one of these in a while, and I forgot that I was doing this. So when I watched this episode, it was not today. It was a few days ago. I was not thinking about the plot. I was thinking about.
You can talk about vibes. You don't have to talk
we're
about
gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about some vibes right now in this recap. But to be nothing but vibes. Yes. My answer is I am ready.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so there's this monster that is taking over people's bodies and making them like murder people. And guess also who shows up? It's Rufus. And so Rufus and Bobby are having a lot of awkwardness around working together. Everyone kind of tries to kill each other. Eventually, unfortunately, Rufus does not survive this episode. Bobby is extremely sad about it. And Samuel is also dead. But we care a lot less about that. And and Eve, maybe?
Nice.
We got some plot in
Well
there.
done.
For the record, Noah is also very sad about Rufus dying, and also not at all sad about Samuel dying.
Yep. Same here.
This is the second time we've seen him die on screen, and I've not been sad either time.
Technically, it's the second and third time, because he dies and then comes back and then dies again.
True.
Right. But is it really him the second time?
That's fair. It's fair. TBD.
It wasn't really him. I don't know.
That's true.
We got big questions about him coming back in general.
Big questions, because he claims to have come from heaven. This motherfucker.
No. And we're an anti-Samuel podcast, primarily this episode.
I feel like we're an anti-father figures besides Bobby's podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
Bobby and his weird ex get a pass.
Yeah.
Everyone else who has a child kind of sucks.
Adam's mom? I don't remember much about Adam's mom.
Okay, the moms don't suck.
The only one we met was
the dads
don't
all
suck.
suck.
The moms just get screwed over.
Yeah.
The moms are just all dead.
Yeah.
And the dads all suck.
Burned on the ceiling, or they were a ghoul already. And
Boy.
Rough.
This episode does not pass the Bechdel test.
No.
Just as
Surprise,
a
surprise.
FYI. Is there any women in this episode? Eve, technically,
Gwen.
kind of. Gwen.
Gwen's
Oh,
in
yeah,
it.
Gwen's in this episode.
But she doesn't talk to a single other
Yeah,
woman.
and she's entirely there to have a moment with Dean, like, and then die.
And have a big reveal
It's
where
fringe,
Dean kills
so-
her. Oops.
Yeah.
Dumb as
Yeah,
hell.
we got to come
Yeah,
back to that
yeah, yeah,
conversation
yeah.
in a moment.
Yeah.
We've touched on so many things that I want to talk about more later on, and I'm just having to hold myself back.
But
Well, it's time for us to pick some music now to accompany us on our journey. Here's what I have this week. August, you said you had a good one. You were excited
I
about
am
it.
so excited about this pick. I am going with the Bobby Rufus vibe here. It is important that you keep in mind their relationship, particularly their conversation about Omaha and their past. And the song that I've chosen today is "Gotta Go My Own Way" from the High School Musical soundtrack.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
You know, what about
Okay.
us? What about everything
Right.
we've been through?
No.
What about trust? You know, I never wanted to hurt you. It's just
That's
Now
a
you
giving
good
Bobby
one.
Rufus.
You've said the only lines of that song that I actually know by heart, so I can't even play off of it anymore.
Yeah, same.
Well, you need to go back and rewatch the music video.
I've never actually watched the movies, but
You've never seen the movies,
I've
Noah?
been to the school that it was filmed at.
Of course, because New
I
Mexico.
climbed on top of it and I accidentally broke a skylight. But for
Oh,
legal
I guess
reasons,
I've heard this story.
that last part was a joke.
We might have to rectify this at another point, Noah.
Maybe that'll be one of our eventual Patreon goals.
Ooh, you watch High School Musical with us.
With a bunch of homeschoolers.
Yes.
With a bunch of homeschoolers who definitely, I saw it, but I
We
saw
would
it.
definitely know what high school is like.
Totally.
Sam, were you at that event where we had a friend who had a High School Musical themed birthday party when I was probably in middle school, which was like roughly around when the movies were really big. I think it was the first movie, way after the first movie, before the second one. Anyway, and we did a whole High School Musical theme. It was like the most like stereotypical like high school girl birthday party. And I just remember
Being
well
really
now, now I'm like, well, that's because you're not a high school girl, and none of this shit makes any sense to you. Or nor do any of the social norms, but it's very funny to look back and be like, that was very much a thing.
You were in middle
We
school
went to the mall.
before 2007?
I was in middle school in 2007.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 12. I was 12 in 2007. No, yeah, I forget that you're a lot younger than me.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 9.
Okay.
So it's not that much
Yeah.
different, but
Yeah, I was like in grade 7.
okay.
Anyway, do you remember, were you at that party? Were you at that party? It was one
No,
of the
but I remember
homeschool-
going with mom to help pick you up. I remember
Yeah, and it
being
was like,
That's
upset
the
that I
most
wasn't
homeschooled
invited.
sibling shit ever. Like, I didn't go to that party, but I was in the car that picked you up from it.
I remember.
totally
No,
relate
we
to
were
that.
in the house.
You would have
I
much
remember
preferred.
seeing all of the decorations and being like, "Oh, damn! I wish I was at."
You
this
would have
party."
had so
Wish I
much more
was
fun
there.
at that party than I would have had. I was like sitting there
I was
being like,
upset
I
I
don't
wasn't
want to
invited.
do my nails or like go to the mall.
Yeah.
We did like a scavenger hunt at the mall.
Oh,
Like I'm pretty sure there was a
shit.
couple of like my friends' older siblings, like older sisters who like helped take all these like preteen girls to the mall and do
Wow.
a scavenger hunt. And
Okay,
it was
but that does sound so much fun, though. A
like it
scavenger
wasn't
hunt
like
in a public
unfun. I
place.
just didn't understand it.
Yeah, fair.
Then or now. Anyway, and then I was like, High School Musical is stupid for like 10 years. And now
Probably
I
right.
think it's very funny and really enjoyable. Partly because my partner thinks it's really funny and enjoyable.
One of my exes worked on the her mom worked on the golf course that Zac Efron sings that one song on.
Oh,
So-
the golf course song.
Mhm.
Best bet on it.
Yeah, bet on it. Yep, that's right.
Oh,
So I've
just
been there
such a-
too.
Also, such a banger. I will find a way to incorporate that song into a mixtape one day.
Good, good.
Anyway,
Anyway, my mixtape pick this week was Jacob Killed a Cat by Kevin Atwater. It's got a bunch of lyrics about traumatic events with pets or childhood wrapped up with fighting homophobia, but also hinging on how we spend all our time proving to no one we don't cry, but God, what I'd give to cry with him now, which sort of hinges on Bobby's feelings at the end of the episode and how he wishes that he had the time to cry with Rufus before now. And now he will never get that time. So
that was a
Aw.
hell of a tone shift
I'm
and a
sorry.
good choice.
And-
And a good choice. No, it's my own fault for being so silly. That's a good choice. That's a much more thematically appropriate song than this episode.
It just hurts. I was introduced to this song a few weeks ago by one of my homies, Jenna. Shout out Jenna. But it made me cry the first time I heard it. I was just like, damn, okay. Gotta work this into a mixtape.
Wonderful. Love it. Love that. We'll be going and finding this song afterwards.
It's a good song. Great song.
When I'm emotionally stable enough to hear it.
Well, I don't know if that's ever an option. Sam, what about you?
All right. My mixtape this week is Move Along by the All American Rejects.
Oh,
I love the All American Rejects.
And I chose this one just because it just kind of encompasses like how the hunter life is just in general. One of the like main lines is like, even when your hope is gone, move along, just move along. When everything is wrong, we move along and go on.
shit.
And I was like, damn, that's
a good
like they're all,
pick.
you know, there's Rufus died and Rufus was like this really like special person to them and this hunter and you know, they're standing over his grave and then they move on. And this is just their life. Like, you know, people die and they have to just keep on fighting.
That emotional repression.
Woohoo.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Bottle of Jack. I guess it's Jameson in this one.
Yeah.
Well, now that we've got our mixtape playing, it's time for this week's hunt. Today we are pulling up to Season 6, Episode 16, And Then There Were None, through the theme of sadness.
Now, every time that because spoiler alert, I typed out the document for this episode, and every time they have the ellipses in the front, where it's ... and then there were none. What's the best way to say that? So like Season 6, Episode 16, ... and then there were none. Like,
That's the best way to say it.
That's the best. You gotta have some
so...
suspense in there.
You just say the ellipses in each individual one.
So Episode 16, ... and then there
Saying
were
it
none.
at speed was so jarring. Like, what is this? What is this mean?
So that's one thing that put me on edge, but it's fine. This was a great episode for that. Oh my god. This episode hit hard.
We do need to point that And Then There Were None is the name of an Agatha Christie
Of course, yes.
mystery
Yes.
novel.
I did not know that.
I think I knew that because of Doctor Who. I'm not gonna lie.
That checks out.
Yes.
Checks out. I know a few things about Agatha Christie because of Doctor Who.
I know everything I know about Agatha Christie because of Doctor Who.
She fought giant wasps.
That's
We all
all I
that.
know about Agatha Christie.
Anyway, that's just a fun fact related to this episode. I don't have anything else to say about it.
That's good. We dig it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been a while since we've seen Bobby, and I was so excited to have a Bobby episode. So
Yeah.
excited.
Always
Also,
excited
Bobby
for
in
you.
a suit.
Bobby in a suit. He
Bobby
goes
cleans
with
up
them
good. Bobby
on
cleans
the
up good.
investigation. Like he goes to talk to the witnesses with them as an FBI agent, and I was so excited about that. He looks so good in that trench coat too. Oh, okay.
Bobby and Rufus
Cleans up
both are
nice.
given these like Rufus also. We've only seen Rufus in like
Hunter clothes.
hunter clothes. Yeah, it's fun to see them both like dressed up and also like eyeing each other up while they're dressed up.
Yep. No, it was very good, especially Rufus knowing what alias Bobby would go with whenever he's pretending to be an FBI agent. That was so good. 10 out of 10.
It's giving. It's been years since we've been together, but I still know your favorite. I still know your coffee order. Like that's what it's giving.
Yep, very much so. Only to be followed very shortly by, well, not very shortly, but it was somewhat shortly by Rufus checking Dean's ear and Dean saying, "Buy me a drink first," and Rufus saying, "Second date." Like, okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, like there are two ways to read this. There is the writers have a homophobia problem,
Which
and
is
then there's
also
the like
plausible.
galaxy brain. Rufus is comfortable with his sexuality, and if Dean's gonna make a gay joke, Dean, being kind of insecure about his sexuality, Rufus is just gonna be like, okay then,
Throw it right back.
queer boy.
He says, "I see you. I
The
get
galaxy
it."
brain take is always the more fun take.
Honestly,
Yes,
so many
absolutely.
times. Okay, but also Rufus and Bobby Bobby being like, well, are we going to be partners on this? Are we doing this?
They
And
say
then
partner's an awful lot.
awful lot. And we love it. And then they say, just like old times. And Rufus does a little shoulder punch to Bobby, like just a little, hey, I see you.
Yeah.
And that's a big level of comfort that screams we've done this naked too. So it's so good.
Oh, they have such like, it's like the last time we saw Rufus, it was very much like flirty fun times.
Yes.
This time it's like awkward exes and also and a little bit of like still flirty, but in flirty in an awkward ex sort of way.
Whole different but great vibe that we love it.
Absolutely great vibe.
It was so good.
Also, Bobby is so offended with the idea that Sam and Dean are like excited to see Rufus, which just lends more credence to the idea that Rufus and Bobby were a thing.
A bit of jealousy, like
Sam and Dean are attached.
More than me? What? Wait, what?
It's like I know my boyfriend is cool. Like my ex-boyfriend is cool, but I'm cooler, right?
You don't think he's cool.
Yeah, he's my ex. You're not allowed to still think he's cool. Even if you're my kids and you can't still
You hear that, bro, siblings? You hear that? You aren't allowed to think your siblings' exes are cool.
Wow, some shade being thrown.
Mega shade. Anyways. Okay, and then just right after that, they go to investigate this warehouse. And look who's there. Oh, it's Gwen. Wow, crazy. Last time we saw you was with this motherfucker, Samuel. Wait, and then they walk into the room and bam, Samuel Campbell standing right there. Dean, of course,
I hate him.
Gets to be the badass and is like, you know what? Welcome to... Okay, and I want to believe that he would say motherfucker at the end of this.
Oh, absolutely.
He walks in and
definitely.
says, welcome next time, motherfucker, and draws his gun on Samuel instantly.
He has absolutely been saving this line.
He's ready.
He's been waiting to have the big TV moment.
Absolutely.
Like Dean wants to have the moment
that everybody talks about for the rest of the
where
season.
He says that cool line and he pulls out his gun and
he shoots the bad guy.
Instantly.
Never mind the fact that the bad guy is his grandfather.
No opportunity for a monologue at all.
No,
we love it.
No. Unfortunately, Sam is level-headed and Sam now, not soulless anymore. And it's like, maybe we don't commit murder quite yet.
Yeah. Followed up by Bobby being like, hey, Sam, take Dean for a walk.
Such parent energy.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
So Sam has to manhandle him out the room
in this episode.
He really is, which hurts
it.
even more because the very next second, Samuel comes at Bobby and be like, "Oh, you must be the guy pretending to be their father." Okay. Wow.
Rich coming from you.
Bobby's come back with someone's got to.
Well, someone ought to fuck. Yes, Bobby. Yes, get him.
I love how Bobby is not even fazed by
not even a
Samuel's
second
comment. He's just
blinks it away.
Well, yeah, I'm fucking here.
They deserve it.
He was their father even before their father was dead.
Even before.
Exactly.
Absolutely. He saw how shitty John was and he said,
Samuel's been here for 2 seconds. And he didn't even figure out that Sam didn't have a soul in that entire year. So
what is he worth? He didn't reach out to Dean at all. So
tried to kill him, actually.
He tried to kill him. So I'm not inclined to believe Samuel on anything he's saying at this point.
It is fun to see Sam and Samuel interact now that Sam has his soul back. It's fun to see those interactions because they're very different.
It's so good.
Now that Sam is fully on with Dean and with Bobby and fully has his full emotional range.
Yup.
And he can actually see through Samuel's bullshit.
Oh, it's good. It's good. And then Samuel calls Bobby kid at one point. I don't remember what he said, but he says kid.
Yeah.
Because obviously Bobby isn't as old as Samuel, but Samuel did die at a certain age. So I feel like they're equivalent. Whatever. It's not that important. And then Bobby just smirks. He smirks it off and says, well, you'd throw your own kin to hungry ghouls. So it's whatever.
Bobby isn't having any of it.
Bobby is not taking it at all.
It's so good. Oh.
I love that though. It's because Bobby is so secure in knowing who he is to the boys that he's
he is.
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
He's been through so much shit with both of them boys that he knows exactly what he means to them and what they want to say but feel like they haven't been able to. And
he knows they'll listen to him. There's the moment when once Samuel is dead and he's like, we actually need to like cut open his brain to figure out what the fuck's going on with this worm. And he actually like tells them like to take a break. He like kind of forces them into that moment. It's very parent sort of behavior. He's like, why do you need to see this? You don't need to see this.
You don't need to. Like, why
I'm
put
going to
yourself
protect
in
you
that
from this
position?
moment.
Which just a moment before that, Rufus turns to Bobby and is like, hey, you got a cranial saw in the car? And Bobby's like, of course.
It's like, implied in that statement from Rufus is like, you got a cranial saw in the car.
Still.
Bracket still. Exactly. He's like, I know you used to, so I'm checking. Are you still on your game?
You still on top of your shit right now? And he's like, duh. Like, what the fuck? Who do you think I am? So good. And then they really do start to cut into him. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. They really have a lot of interesting stuff with Samuel, and like we're thinking about like the theme of sadness and like the lack of sadness about Samuel kind of struck me.
It's vast.
Like there's just this absence of like real and like of actual feeling about Samuel because he's like blood he isn't family.
Yep, you gotta earn that. Ugh.
Which Dean says that's what he thinks Mary would say.
I have thoughts about this.
I think Mary would absolutely accept Bobby as their surrogate father over John, hands down.
Yeah.
And would not have any love lost for Samuel after what he's done.
No, absolutely not.
What are your thoughts, Sam? Say your thoughts.
Well, my thoughts are that I think that yes, Mary would say the part about blood, just because your blood doesn't mean your family. That definitely sounds like Mary to me. But the you gotta earn that part sounds like John. And I feel like Dean is kind of maybe taking a little bit of both.
Okay, do
really
say more. Do say more, because I
feel like John would say you gotta deserve it, whereas Mary would lean more towards you gotta earn it, because like if you prove your actions about caring for somebody, then you've earned it in a way.
Counterpoint, that you gotta earn that is actually not Mary or John, it's just Dean.
Ooh, okay.
Like Mary is gonna say just because your blood don't make you family. John is gonna say you have to like earn being family. Dean is the one that's actually gonna put those two things together, and like Dean is the one that's gonna go like, and what Dean means by you gotta earn that is like you gotta prove, you gotta be in, you gotta like act like family to be family,
right?
Okay. Whereas I think that does like, it does sound kind of like a John like sort of line,
like not in like in a bad way.
Yeah, like well, I think John would mean it in a bad way.
He would.
Yeah,
and
John would mean it in
a
like
totally different way.
You gotta, I don't know.
Well, like John means it for me.
Well, no, it's the authoritarian piece. It's like the piece we've talked about with John, like way back in season 1, even like where John's like to
you
be a part of this family,
love or whatever.
Yeah, to be a part of this family, you gotta like follow the chain of command. Like you gotta follow orders. You gotta fall in line to be a part of this family.
That's how you earn it.
Whereas Dean doesn't. That's not how Dean means it.
Proving that you care about somebody is how Dean means it.
Dean's like you gotta show up.
Yeah,
you gotta like be willing to bleed for these people. That's what makes you family.
I like that.
That's Sam. That was a really good
insight.
Yeah, because I think I've always thought that didn't really sound like Mary, but couldn't quite put my finger on like why. But I think that like connecting it to John is really
that division between the first half and the second half.
Yeah,
important.
And like,
but I think you're right too. I think like it's Dean as well is putting his own little.
It's Dean's interpretation of both of their emotions.
Yeah,
combined into one.
Yeah, and they've really experienced this now. Like they've experienced the feeling of like blood being not the same thing as family. They've experienced it with John, and now they've experienced it with Samuel.
Yeah, and in the opposite way, they're experiencing it with Bobby, where
and Cass.
Where they have shown them that they're family and that they care about them and willing to like be there for them
no matter what.
Yeah.
They've gone through so much with Bobby.
Yeah.
And they'll go through so much more. Is that what you're gonna say? Is that what you were gonna say, August?
No, I mean yes, but also that's not what I mean. It's true, but that's just supernatural.
Yeah, facts.
That's just supernatural.
Okay, but Bobby having a real heart-to-heart with Rufus over, cutting Samuel's cranium open, taking a moment to apologize, and speaking with such raw care in the entire moment is so sweet, and it's so good to see, especially as, the father figure for the boys, their father.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of like emotional moments, like vulnerable moments for Bobby like this.
Yeah, and he really puts it all on the line, and he tries to get Rufus to see that he truly is sorry, and he understands how much pain he's caused.
Yeah.
And Rufus takes it and says, I'll never forgive you. And that broke me, especially because in that moment, I knew something bad's going to happen to Rufus. This fucking sucks.
Oh no, you saw it coming.
I hate this.
No.
Something bad's gonna happen. Especially because they put us in an episode that feels like The Thing, right? Like John Carpenter's The Thing. And it was just everybody can't trust each other and they have to figure out who's gonna try to kill who.
Who's got the monster in them?
Who's got the secret monster inside them. And
yeah, there had to be real stakes. And
yeah, Samuel wasn't real stakes.
No, Samuel's like an antagonist. Like there needed to be real stakes for like the characters we care about in terms of this monster.
A good first shot because it really showed, whoa, Dean did that shit out of nowhere. Wow.
I wish we had gotten more emotional resonance out of that moment because it does feel a little bit like a female character. The only female character in this episode is fridged to further the storyline.
Yeah.
And they don't really give her a moment for anyone to actually like grieve her.
No.
Like not even Samuel.
Yeah. And she was like not a huge part, but like, and like, I know that Sam doesn't remember her, but like they worked together for a year.
Yeah.
Like she was, a big piece of the family.
Mm-hmm. And there was some like really interesting conversations that she's had with both of them over this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was sad that she didn't get more time.
Like it couldn't, like I wish
grieving time.
I wish I could, I like kind of wish it had been one of the like male
cousins. One of those shitty guys that were
those guys that were just like assholes.
Giving Dean shit for like being like them being homophobic about Dean's life. Like that would have been great.
Like Samuel, it feels like Samuel would have been equally upset, but I mean I think it also did like lend to the like they really are like what the fuck is up with Dean because it doesn't make a lot of sense that he would kill her. Like Samuel, yes, but Gwen like.
And if it was one of the boys' cousin, it might be more likely for Dean to just kamikaze shoot one of them.
I'd be like, you know what? Maybe it was a monster, but maybe they might not have guessed monster.
Yeah.
Calling it the con worm.
Yes. Con worm on steroids.
Beautiful, wonderful, love it.
It was so good.
Such a funny reference.
Love a good Star Trek reference anytime.
Yes.
I also feel like it's important to point out that whenever Dean kills Gwen and they know that Dean is possessed by the con worm, whenever they are splitting up to go look for him, they all make an agreement. And Sam's like, hey, we get him back alive. Like, we take him in alive. You hear me? Or otherwise, I'm going to kill you, Samuel. Like, everybody agrees, like, yeah, we're taking him alive. Whenever Samuel is possessed by the con worm, they all look around and nobody says shit.
Nobody is trying to make sure that they extract the worm.
Nope.
Safely.
They're fine with him being the price. They are okay with it.
Which, I mean, but to be fair, not that much earlier in this episode, Samuel says to Sam and Dean, like, basically, they give him another opportunity to be like, do you regret trying to kill Dean? Like, do you regret that? Do you regret the choices you've made in your relationship with us? And he's like, I don't cry over spilled blood. He refuses to apologize. He's got no sense of sadness or regret.
True.
So they kind of are like, you don't have any, like, they're like, you wouldn't.
No redemption.
You're not crying over our spilt blood. We're not crying over yours.
Which is wild because he starts the episode out, his part of the episode out, by accusing Bobby of taking over his route of, blood relationship with these brothers. It's like, I don't cry over spilled blood, but you cried over Bobby stepping in for you. So like, what the fuck
it's not about family though. It's not like, it's because like Samuel and John view family through this like structure of like who has the authority, who has the control.
Yeah.
Like they have this hierarchy.
Yeah, it's about control and status. It's not actually about being.
Yeah, it's about who's the hunter in charge
or whatever.
Yeah,
it's about whose hand are you putting a gun into, and will they shoot the person that you tell them to?
Oh,
yeah.
It's not about like, do you have a relationship like built on any sort of like mutual respect with your family.
Leads me into when Sam has a gun on Samuel and he gives him so many warnings. He gives him like 5 different warnings. Like, hey, don't go any further. I swear to God, don't move. I'm gonna hit you. He tries to warn him, and he still keeps moving closer and closer and closer. And then Sam pops him right in the head, which was, I'm not gonna lie, very satisfying. It's very satisfying to watch after this long. But Sam tries to give him the respect that he feels like he may have earned over the year that he doesn't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Sam tries to give him a shot at like redemption, at like actually being a decent human being.
And then he gives him a shot.
Yeah.
And he gives him a shot.
Just fair.
Well, he also thought that he was possessed by the worm at that time as well.
Yeah, but even still, like the fact that he doesn't immediately shoot him, he goes like, "I'm going to try."
He's trying to give him a chance still.
He's trying to give him a chance to either wrest back control or for them to find another way. Like that's very Sam of him to be like, what if like trying to save as many people as possible?
What if we can save the person? Yeah.
Even if the person sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so Sam of him now that he's got his soul back.
So Sam of him.
Yeah.
When we're talking about like that like lack of control piece and like the whole with the like Winchester and Campbell men and that struggle, I also think it's really interesting to see that in an episode about like a parasitic monster that helps like that makes you lose control. Like I think those parallels are really interesting of like Samuel, that's his whole thing. And he actually gets taken out because of a monster that like takes you over.
Yeah. No, that's
like,
very interesting.
I mean, I feel like John was very similar. Like John gets taken out by the thing that he like it's very like karmic sort of like it's very like narratively satisfying to be like oh, hoisted by your own petard, like
what goes around comes around.
I think it's very narratively satisfying.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
It did frustrate me when Samuel came back from the dead again in this episode.
Won't this motherfucker die?
Please let him die. And they finally get him, but it's fine. It's whatever. I do like that Bobby was the one who took him down because Bobby had the most reason to take him down.
Felt earned. Felt very earned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I liked that, especially because it came off of Bobby and Rufus arguing about the wiring for the cranial saw and being like, what the fuck? Did you get this from like a secondhand shop? Like what? And he's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Damn.
I guess we see where Dean gets his like, I'm gonna build an EMF meter out of like it's homemade. Like oh, it was Bobby you got that from.
Yeah.
It was Bobby.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I love that trait of Bobby's of just like I think that's really kind of cool, like and kind of like symbolic of like who Bobby is. Like Bobby doesn't replace things because they like don't like because they're not new.
Perfect.
Yeah, or because they're like because everyone else would be like, well, shouldn't you get something better? Bobby doesn't give up on things for people.
Yeah. That right there.
To be fair, the electrocution plan that they have, colossally stupid.
Oh my
for hunters who are
God.
already like you couldn't think of anything else. I could think of other better ways to get this worm out. Like you know how much like electricity can like permanently damage your body and your brain. You shoot
Especially
that much of it into you.
It on the neck, like
also like
you're all dead. You're all dead. You're all dead.
And not only that, the thing that I found funny was like, okay, yes, the whole plan was extremely foolish. But then after Rufus is like, oh, I have a pacemaker, they're like, it'll probably be fine. Well, let's try it anyway.
Like it's a good pacemaker.
Like, what?
Do you think Bobby, do you think Rufus, like a hunter who doesn't presumably have a real job, like, and almost certainly doesn't have health insurance, do you think he has a good pacemaker?
Definitely not.
He has a janky ass pacemaker.
Another hunter or something.
Dr. Roberts or whatever that guy
said. Janky ass secondhand pacemaker.
Yeah, you really want to electrocute that shit and be like, oh, well, guess we'll see.
I guess we'll hope it. Like the audacity of these men, the narrative audacity of like it'll probably work. Like
the only reason I'm okay with Bobby going along with that is because he had the con worm at that point.
Yes.
And so it wasn't real Bobby being like, whoa, wait.
Yeah,
maybe we should take it again.
Feels like Bobby with control is usually the voice of reason in these scenarios.
Yeah,
to be like that plan.
Yeah, Bobby would definitely be like, hold on.
Be like, well, okay, can we figure anything else out, please?
Yeah. God.
The Bobby's so offended though that he doesn't know about Rufus's pacemaker in like the way that only an ex who
Yep.
really still wants a shot can be.
Wait, you got what? When did
You
that
didn't
happen?
tell me?
How come you didn't tell me?
What if
Like,
we'd
bitch,
been
we broke
fucking and
up.
your heart rate got too high? Oh my god, you didn't even warn me?
Rufus is like, bitch, we broke up. Also, I lost 3 toes.
In case you didn't know that.
Throwing it in Bobby's face at that point.
We do
Funny.
love the confirmation that Bobby isn't into feet. So, pros and cons.
Didn't need to think about that. I really, really didn't need to think about that.
Yeah,
Not to
me neither,
pass
I think.
judgment on any listeners out there who are into sucking toes, but it's not me and it's not Bobby. So I can't speak for Sam or August, but
Nope.
We're just gonna say now that you put it out there, now I have to say something. Or else nope.
Anyways, moving along.
Moving on. I got it. The fact that the fucking con worm makes Bobby stab Rufus fucking hurts.
Awful.
It hurts so bad.
You're always killed by the one you love the most. Like that's always how it is on Supernatural.
And then it feels like they move on so fast. They move on very quickly. And that hurt a little bit more. And I get that they wanted to use that moment to build the reveal for the end of the episode when they're at a grave and you think it might be Bobby's grave. But still, they should have taken an extra moment there to mourn Rufus.
Yeah. Or to like show us like Sam and Dean, like linger on that like a moment.
At least, please.
Or give us a shot of like,
I agree. I would have loved to have them linger, but I think you have to understand that, like, yes, Rufus means a lot to the boys, but Bobby means more. And at this point, they're like, oh, fuck, Bobby has the worm.
Yeah.
And they're definitely
now they're trying to figure out how to get the worm out of him without killing him. And
like Bobby is definitely more of their focus at the moment, so they don't really have a lot of time to think about Rufus.
That's true. And 2 people are already dead. The last 2 people who had the worm are already dead and that didn't stop the worm. So like,
so they're fucking worried.
They're running out of shots really to take here.
It's an interesting take that Sam was ready to watch Samuel's head get sliced open, but watching Bobby suffer a little bit was too much for him and he had to turn away. That was a really good touch that I really loved. To show the vast ocean of difference between his feelings for Samuel and his feelings for Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big moment.
Yeah, Sam, being very Sam in this episode.
Yeah, very much
and he doesn't have a huge role in this episode, like honestly, like plot wise.
Yeah, he doesn't get the worm at all.
He's an extra hunter in the room.
Yeah, and like he does a lot of like interfering in like engaging in between other people's relationships. Like other than the conversation he has with Samuel, there's not a lot of focus on like Sam in this episode. It's mostly on like Dean and on Bobby and Rufus.
Yeah.
But Sam is just very much himself.
Which, okay, that leads us right into the moment at the end where you're concerned about Bobby's life after they've electrocuted him to shit. And they're like, oh my God, is he still breathing? Is he breathing? And then an instant cut to a gravesite.
Oh my God, I know. What a tease. Noah, I thought about you.
Thank you.
So did I.
Thank you.
I was like, oh my God, Noah's going to be so upset.
Like, Noah's going to have a moment of sheer panic.
I was sitting here in my living room screaming at the TV. It's a misdirect. It's a misdirect. Please, please.
Gotta be a misdirect.
And it was. And I was so happy. But also sad because it was Rufus's gravesite. And that was also sad.
It's a misdirect, but it's still like someone we care about.
Yeah. It wasn't the person I cared the most about. And that's okay. For me, personally.
Yeah, for you.
But seeing Bobby on the verge of tears at his boyfriend's gravesite and pouring out a drink for him, for Rufus, and the brothers, instead of, because a typical moment like that, if it was us group of 4 hunters all lost one of us, we would all, he would pour out the drink and then we would all take a drink. But no, the brothers walk away because they get that this moment is for Bobby and Rufus, not for the hunters and Rufus.
There is a different relationship between Bobby and Rufus
very much so.
than between Rufus and Sam and Dean. And it's not just because they're younger longer and haven't hunted with him as much.
Very much so.
It's not about that. There's something different in Bobby and Rufus' relationship.
They stick around to hear Bobby vent about the instances that went in between them, but then they walk away and let Bobby have his moment with Rufus. And that crushed me, seeing Bobby mourn his ex-boyfriend.
That's the biggest argument for Bobby Rufus is that moment.
Absolutely.
Like more than all the flirting, like that moment of sadness and grief is telling us how important Rufus was to Bobby.
Bobby doesn't cry very often in the show at all. And this one, like, you could see the tears in his eyes the entire time he was talking. You could hear him get choked up. And that's powerful as fuck.
Rufus has been with Bobby like since Bobby's wife got possessed. Like when Bobby's wife died,
Rufus
has been there.
Such a good reveal that Rufus was the one who saved Bobby from his first interaction with the supernatural.
And who made him not only who saved him, but like who made him a hunter.
Gave him the instances, the connections he needed to become the hunter that he is today, protecting his boys now. So good.
That was all Rufus.
Hurt even more.
Can I draw a Destiel parallel, please?
Please do.
Oh my god.
The idea of someone like the person that pulled you out, like the person that kind of saved you from
perdition.
Oh my god.
Perdition. The person who saved you from everything going wrong. Is
fuck.
just, and the person that you don't really realize how important they are to you
until they're gone. This
Destiel parallel is just like,
okay, I take it back. You cannot make that parallel anymore. I'm sorry.
Too many feelings.
Jeez.
Wow. And then Dean's whole like,
this is
speech.
I forgot about this conversation.
Oh my god.
It's so interesting that that's where Dean is at this point in the show. Like that he feels like this is really like this doesn't seem important to Bobby or Sam. Like I don't know that they fully grasp like how significant it is that Dean like needs to say this to them.
Yeah.
Like Dean needs to basically be like, I need you to know that like when I die, I don't care about any of it. We're good. Like that blanket forgiveness and the blanket apology is like just there.
Clean slate. That's such a big moment for him, and I feel like Bobby starts to get it by the end of Dean's little monologue there. But Bobby's also wrapped up with his own emotions about Rufus, and so.
And this is what Dean has been left with after like everything that's happened. After watching Bobby lose Rufus.
Yeah, he sees his father lose his boyfriend, and now he's thinking about what he would feel if he lost his boyfriend, or if his boyfriend was forced to lose him.
Yeah,
and that he wouldn't want to be in Bobby's shoes. Like he wouldn't want to be in the position where the person who's left behind feels all of this like guilt, with nowhere for it to go. He's like,
because Rufus didn't forgive him.
Yeah, and I think Dean is like just desperate to not leave people with that feeling if he dies, which is really interesting considering like he's felt pretty betrayed this season by both Sam and Bobby at points.
Well, I was just gonna say, like especially him and Sam, like there has been so much like lying back and forth and hiding things from each other and like all this shit that they are like definitely mad at each other for
sure.
Like it's interesting that he comes to this place where he's like, when I died, just like clean slate. Like he knows how much shit there is in his relationship with Sam and his relationship with Cass and with Bobby. Like
all of the
everyone above. There's a lot of shit in the relationship, and he's just like wants to be like, once I'm gone, clean slate.
It's honestly some relatable content, but also just for the record, if I die before my time, anybody I've still got a disagreement with, fuck you, we're still on bad. I'm gonna haunt you till the end of your day.
Noah's taking it to you're taking it to your grave.
To the grave.
Noah's like, you ain't getting any. Noah's learned nothing from this episode.
Absolutely nothing.
Other than that you should do what Rufus did and like take it to your grave.
If you haven't been able to apologize to me and I haven't been able to apologize to you, eat shit.
Okay, so that's fair. At least you're saying, if there's been no apology.
Yeah. If we've apologized and we've made up, we're good. We're solid.
Yeah.
No big deal. I won't haunt you. But You know who you are out there in the ether.
You know who you are.
I'm haunting your ass.
I didn't know what I was gonna say there.
There's no good
That's a
segue after that,
relatable
I'm
feeling.
sorry.
I was gonna say. I was like, you can get haunted.
Get haunted, fucker. Eesh. Sorry.
Okay. Can I pivot a little bit and
Pivot,
just say
please.
I need to point out because I had this note in the document and then I scrolled down and saw Sam, you also had this note about the like opening scene. We're going way back. This is
Oh my god, yeah.
There's an
All my
evangelical
notes
trapped
said-
jump scare.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just as
My
as
notes-
a former evangelical,
He said,
as an ex-Christian, this just
Yeah,
what
it
you're
was too
really
close.
feeling is a message for our Father himself.
I was
Who
like-
really want his love.
the gaslighting, the evangelical gaslighting.
Oh my god, triggering, really.
Absolutely.
I forgot that this was in here when the scene was first going through, and like Eve tries to kiss him, and he's like, no, and like this is not where you're supposed to be. I was like, okay, cool. We have like a good guy trying to like,
Yeah,
you know,
he's recognizing
help this
he's got a lot of
person
power and he's not going to
figure
take
out-
advantage of it.
Exactly. I was like, way to go, great. And then he pulls out the pamphlet, and all my notes just say it's "Ew, Jesus" pamphlet, because that's how I felt. I was like, oh, come on.
You couldn't just have been a decent. You couldn't just have been a
Don't do
decent
that.
person like that
You
was like
ruined
not
it.
going to assault someone. Like
Is that not good enough? Please.
I mean,
please.
I feel like it's a little bit of an assault still.
It's very much, it's a double assault.
Stop
yeah,
doing that.
yeah, it's just a different kind. He's like, no,
Yeah.
I won't. Like, I'm not going to like.
I'm not going to physically hurt you, but
I will be.
let me just shove this faith in your
Yeah.
face.
I'm gonna like emotionally gaslight you and be like, what if?
Have you ever worked a service job or any sort where you could get a tip and somebody slides what
Yes.
looks like $100 bill across the table at you and you take it? And you're
I have
like,
not worked
what
a
the
service
hell?
job, but I have gotten given one of those when I was
Okay.
babysitting once.
Yep.
Oh yes, yeah,
You
yeah.
fold that
I've
shit
also
open?
definitely been given.
Don't do that to people.
It's so fucked up.
Come on.
And I'm like this.
There's no problem.
We all grew up in like Bible belts in our various countries.
Yep.
Where like I remember like tract walls on churches, and that being a thing.
I handed them out.
Yeah. Oh, same. We were like, you know, like
we had to stand
what's
on
the
like
word?
fucking street
Impressionable.
corners and in parks to hand
what's
them out.
the word
when
you
we
were
kids.
what's the word for when you're a kid that's like groomed into like trained, and there's a word for it.
Yeah.
I'm missing the actual word for like when you're raised to like
Yeah. Impressionable.
do a certain thing.
I feel
And
like
impressionable is
Yeah.
and-
one of the words.
Group
like-
is another one.
Yeah,
Mm,
but this was the language they used. I was like, I've heard this. I've said this.
guided.
Yeah.
This was what indoctrinated. I was looking. That's what the fucking word I was looking for.
Indoctrinated,
Indoctrinated. Like I was like,
yes.
this is the kind of shit we were indoctrinated in, and hearing it in the wild on a Supernatural episode, just like
Yep.
It's not fiction. This is
No.
what actually happened. That's exactly the script that
That's
people
some
say.
real ass shit.
though Eve's response.
Trigger
Okay,
warning.
Eve's response is what I
Okay.
actually wanted to come to because I was like, she just lets go on this like tirade that I'm like, okay, Eve is the villain, like clearly a villain.
Clearly.
Like
but
I mean, she like Kurt murders guy, but she's not like wrong.
the best villains have a point, and it's
She's
a
not
good
wrong.
point.
That's true.
When she
There's
says
some
like
truth to what she says.
your father made you and abandoned you, like she's not wrong,
She's not wrong.
God has left the building, right? So
right? Like
she's not wrong.
Yep.
she's not like does this particular like is killing a random human like did the human choose that? No, but like also yeah, God's
Yep.
not on your side is very much the vibe that Eve
God's
gives.
on his side,
Yeah.
not yours.
And her pointing that out is like very interesting plot wise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like lore wise, like Eve being like, actually, what if the real monster is God?
Which is also, sorry,
Yeah.
her name being Eve, the
Yes.
mother of all monsters, being named Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Because
Oh.
are they implying that this is the Eve of Adam and Eve, who bites the apple and sides with Satan, quote unquote, in the moment, and where sends the whole human race spiraling into imperfectivity? And is this the Eve?
I
Yeah.
can't say more details because we need more information, and we're gonna get more information as the story continues. But
As the story or the season continues?
I am not
God damn it!
refuse to answer that. Whatever's the amendment where you plead where you don't say anything incriminating.
You're in Canada. You don't have any amendments.
I'm saying it to an American. Doesn't that count?
Shit. I think it's the fifth. Plead the
I think
fifth.
it's the fifth.
Yeah. Damn it. Okay. Well,
your questions, I'm supposed to say no, your questions will be answered at a certain point.
Good.
But yeah, I think you're pointing out
choice.
A really interesting like lore choice that they're making.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if it's not the Eve, having the mother of all monsters claim that name as her own is powerful. And maybe paying homage to the Eve and being like, yes, you gave us room to create all of this nastiness. Suck it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Exactly. It's super, super interesting. And in the context of like all the monsters we've been seeing this season and all this talk about like the alpha monsters and like these monsters, like they, in this episode, Bobby like looks on a map and goes like, look, there's like monsters all up and down this
specific highway.
Yeah. Like,
oh my God.
Something's happening.
Along that route. Like it's leading to somewhere. And then he just picks a town and he's like, yeah, that's where it's headed. Okay, that highway still goes past that town. How do you know that that's where it's headed?
Hopefully that's next.
I guess so. And you think you're gonna beat it there from
plot, convenience.
Yeah. They didn't even have Cass show up to teleport them there instantly.
No Cass again this episode. I mean, we saw him last episode briefly, but no Cass this episode.
We saw him last episode briefly to show that he didn't really care about what was happening to the boys.
But then he was interfering, that he's using them.
Yep.
He used them for his own plans, but he is not there for very long.
I want to know what his plans are. You still haven't heard about that.
That's
story for a different day.
That's a good question.
A lot of good questions this episode. Not a lot of good answers.
That's all right. They're coming.
We are ramping up to them as if the narrative is clearly going.
We are well past the halfway mark of this season, and I'm ready for shit to start kicking off in a big way. Any like predictions, thoughts, dreams, hopes for what's coming next based on this episode? I want more Bobby. Not enough Bobby that it's, big Bobby episode. But just enough that I'll be happy. I know that. And having prepped the documents for the rest of this season, I'm pretty confident that in 2 episodes, Frontierland will get Western Dean pretty sexy, being able to live out his cowboy fantasies.
Is this that you like? What is? Have you seen stuff? Like, what do you know about?
I've seen GIF sets of Dean in cowboy outfits.
Okay, so you're making it an assumption that's
making an assumption that the title is Frontierland. There's no way. There's no way it's not this episode.
That's a fair guess.
I'm honestly very excited for the next episode. My Heart Will Go On, being a Celine Dion reference. Like,
okay, that was what I was gonna ask you about next. Is like, what do you think is gonna happen in My Heart Will Go On? What do you think's gonna happen?
I hope Castiel shows up. I really do. And I'm very excited for our guest for next episode.
Yeah.
Returning fan favorite Ian. Spoilers.
Yeah. Who was on Hollywood Babylon.
Which was actually the first episode of this show that I ever edited. Whoops.
Amazing. And now you get to be back for this episode. So yeah, Ian's going to join us next week. Talk about this episode. I have specific reasons why I asked Ian to join us for this episode that will get revealed when we get there. But
good.
It's going to be a good time.
I'm excited. I'm very curious to see how how this season plays out, because they're building up to some big things, but they're kind of vague.
I love that you don't know as much about this season as you. Like, I feel like last season, the Apocalypse storyline, like you knew some of the outcomes.
Yeah.
You knew about Adam in the cage, so you kind of like knew.
I knew Adam would end up there, but I didn't know who would be there with him.
Yeah. You didn't know everything, but you the Apocalypse storyline has a little bit more of a like predictable.
Yeah. And I knew Soulless Sam was a thing.
Yeah. So now we're getting to stuff that you don't know.
I know at least less context around, if nothing else.
You got a whole bunch of supernatural.
I'm still waiting for Charlie. Where the fuck does Charlie show up? I'm dying to meet her.
I I cannot wait. I cannot wait until
Me
we get to
neither.
experience you getting to experience Charlie.
One of my
It'll
closest
be really good.
crushes / friends told me that I will love Charlie.
You will love
You will.
And I'm
Charlie.
so
Everybody loves
excited.
Charlie.
You can't.
Okay.
Everybody loves
Yeah.
Charlie,
You can't
and
not
gay
love
people,
Charlie.
and gay people especially love Charlie. So
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm dying to meet Charlie.
Charlie's the best.
But I feel like that's not going to be till next season. At best. I know you can't confirm or deny, but I
pleading the
get
fifth
it.
again.
I get it. It's fine. I just have to get those predictions out there.
Hey, we're speeding through this season, so
We are, honestly.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep meeting some people, some folks. There's a lot of, in the next couple of seasons, there's a lot of like pretty iconic characters that
Rowena?
will show up.
When does
I'm not gonna tell
Rowena
you
show
when
up?
and who and how and where, but like a lot of characters that you've heard their names or you know they're coming.
I know
Come on.
Jack and Rowena and Charlie, and I know
Oh,
fucking
Rowena.
Crowley's got to come back. So I don't know.
Got lots of good stuff coming.
Yeah,
Lots of
I
good
can't
stuff.
wait. I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Well, with that, we should move to our final section of this episode, our characters to watch. Who would you like to watch going forward?
Noah, do you want to go first on this one?
You know what? I would absolutely love to go first because I'm going to pick the person that you would least expect me to pick, Bobby. I'm going to watch Bobby because he's such an angel and he went through so fucking much this episode, and I cannot wait to see how that
Absolutely.
adjusts his perception of things going forward. And I want to see how crushed he is by this moment and how he uses that to protect the people that he loves going forward.
Okay.
Shout out to
Love
Bobby.
that.
Yeah, great.
I am thinking good thoughts. This is not a character to watch so much as it is kind of a blessing, but I want to think good thoughts and about Gwen because like Samuel does not seem. There are people who will be mourning her and who won't know what happened, who have no one who can tell them what will happen, what has happened, and I doubt Sam and Dean are going to be telling them. And
Yeah.
so for those people who are going to miss Gwen, and for Gwen herself, who like deserved better than this ending. Yeah, I just want to like send those wishes out for Gwen.
Yeah.
Wish we'd gotten more of her in this story. Wish we'd gotten to see her firmly on the Winchester side and not working with Samuel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You
that would've
deserved
been
better
really
than that.
It was so heavily implied that she was leaning that way before she got killed, and that hurt extra hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam,
that
what
was-
about you?
I mean, man, so many people died in this episode.
Ugh.
I mean, not character to watch, but I would like to bless Rufus. I'm just,
Yeah.
he didn't deserve to go that way, but he will always be remembered, and hopefully he is resting well
Yeah.
in Hunter Heaven or
Yes.
whatever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo. And hopefully Samuel is rotting in Hunter Hell.
That's
Oh,
absolutely.
we know it. We know
We
it.
know it. Yeah.
They're gonna
Nowhere
pass each
else
other
we
on the
could
way.
be.
Rufus and Samuel are gonna pass each other on the way to their respective
Yeah.
afterlives.
Yeah. That's right.
I love it.
Rufus will blow a little kiss. Goodbye.
See you in
See-
hell, actually. I
you in
won't,
hell.
because that's not where I'm gonna be.
Suck it.
Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you. This was fun.
This was a great episode.
Yeah.
It was a good time. It's a good time.
Great times. Thanks for having us, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you are all subscribed to Saving People Queering Things wherever you listen to podcasts, and share our show with your friends. You can also join our free Discord server, find links to our socials, and catch up on the latest season mixtapes, all at our website, queeringthingspodcast.com.
Also on our feed, you can listen to Queering People Saving Throws, which is a D&D adventure Noah has been leading for us. We're having a really fun time in this like monster universe.
Yeah.
KJ from Supernatural Opinions, our dear friend, is there. Elena is also there. It's a good time, and you can find it also on our feed now.
It's a great time, honestly. We're coming up pretty close to the end of this first arc, so make sure to tune in to catch all the little hints and
Yeah. And tell us what you think.
please,
If you like it.
please.
Yes, we love the feedback.
We crave the feedback.
We do. We do. We want to know that you're having a fun time on this, listening to this silly little show.
And if you're not, don't reach out. Don't worry about it.
No, you can. If you hate listening to us, I kind of want to know that too.
Actually, that might give me power. Please do reach out if you hate listening.
If you hate watching Supernatural.
Hey, a hate comment is still a comment.
You know what? You're right. You're right. Either way, be sure to ride along with us next week as we explore season 6, episode 17. My Heart Will Go On, through the theme of confusion with special guest Ian.
Yeah.
Yay!
Thank you all for coming along for the ride, and we wish you a peaceful road until we meet again.